Hi, welcome to practice. The mini practice that you're about to take is something that I do a lot when I'm unsure what else to do. It's a great way of helping open up the hips when you're feeling perhaps a little bit more fatigued. Ultimately, the impact of having the hips and the legs a little bit more open is that we feel a greater sense of freedom often in our back, particularly our low back, whether we're standing or sitting or laying down. This is a great, simple, short practice that will hopefully leave you walking with a little bit more freedom and lightness in your step. So for this, I really recommend that you have a strap, a yoga strap of some kind. If you don't have a yoga strap, no problem. You can use anything that is strap-like around your house. You could use a tie, you could use a long piece of fabric. It needs to have no stretch at all. If you do have a yoga strap, you'll want to make a small loop with it and maybe have a couple of blocks handy as well. Okay? So with that, let's get started. So take one of your blocks and place it underneath your buttocks so that you can elevate your hips a little bit, and then just feel how that in and of itself lets your legs settle towards the floor a bit more. Okay, and then elevate your spine. Lift your chest, draw your shoulders back, and close your eyes. And take your palms and join them together right at the front of your heart. We're going to be moving today through some postures together, in particular to activate and open areas of the hips and the legs. So before we begin practice, I invite you to check in with that area of your body in particular. We often hold a lot of emotions in the area of the hips. We may find that as we work to open up the area of the hips, emotions surface. And if that happens for you, know that you are supported. Know that anything that comes up is perfectly fine. If it feels uncomfortable, see if you can soften with the discomfort and then return to your breath. Acknowledge your breath now. And start to breathe more deeply in and out through your nose. And create a slight tone at the back of your throat. Imagine you are going to fog up a mirror with your breath and create an H-A-ha sound at the back of your throat as you breathe. We'll begin our practice with one Om. Let's start by taking a deep breath in. And then exhale your breath all the way out. And then inhale again. And bow your head to your heart and release your hands to your legs and lift your chin, softly open your eyes. Okay, so from here you can come off of your block. You're going to turn to the side of your mat, or the end of your mat, and take your feet a little bit far away from you, but your knees are still bent. Take your hands back behind you. And you can be up on the fingertips. It's a nice way of sort of alternating between the ridgetop mounds, the palms, and fingertips. So you really strengthen the intrinsic muscles within the hands. And then take your right ankle and cross it to the top of your left thigh. And you may need to move your left foot further away to be able to do that. And then flex your right foot and spread your toes apart, flexing at the ankle joint. Okay? And then from here, lift your chest, draw your shoulders back, and we'll keep that as we bring the left heel closer in and the chest towards the shin. This is the very kind of like first posture we're doing. So really, check in with where you are right now and don't expect it to be anything other than what it already is. It's like this would be very different if we practiced for half an hour and then did this. But we're starting with this first. Okay, we really want the movement here to come from the femur bone in the hip socket. You can even encourage that with your right hand. Okay, but meanwhile, the ankle is flexed here, and the shin and the knee are stabilized, and then you're lifting your chest. Breathe. Good. Then we'll move the left foot away, lower the right foot down, switch sides, cross left ankle to top of right thigh. Flex your foot at the ankle. Spread your toes apart. Okay, if that feels weird or hard to do, that's okay. Try and keep trying. And then once you've got it, keep it. And then draw your right foot in closer. And your two hips could be very different, and that also is fine. So really continually acknowledging where you are versus where you think you should be. My Sanskrit teacher would say, stop shoulding all over yourself. Take your left hand, you can encourage the left femur bone to rotate externally or turn outwards here. And then meanwhile, keep the shin, the knee very stable. Lift your chest. Okay, and then we'll release the left foot back to the floor. From here, let's cross our shins, come to hands and knees position. So we're going to press back to downward facing dog. Before we do, just check that your hands are as wide as your outer shoulders. So from outer shoulder, you track a straight line down and it meets the center of your wrist. And then spread your fingers wide apart. Press your finger pads into the floor. So you're gripping your mat with your hands. And the hands feel really active. Arms are feeling stronger. From here, walk the knees back a little bit. Tuck your toes under. And then lift your hips up and back. You can absolutely have the feet quite wide here, especially if your hamstrings feel stiff. By quite wide, I mean even as wide as the outer hips. Feel free to bend one knee at a time and stretch the opposite leg straighter. Feel free to keep your knees bent if needed. Okay, that could look more like this, especially if that allows you to really send the hips up and back. Okay, so if having the legs straight, your posture feels more like this, bend your knees, send your hips up and back, and then really lift by pushing down and forward with your hands. Good. And then we'll walk the feet forward, come to the top of the mat, and standing forward fold. Here we'll bend the knees enough that the belly and the ribs come to the thighs. And then from there, bend your knees enough that your fingertips as well can come to the floor easily. And release your head down. Keep your breath really deep and full. Good, and then we're going to place the palms down on the floor and walk back again to downward facing dog. Okay, from here, we'll lower the knees down. Bring the big toes together to touch. Send your hips back to your heels and rest in child's pose. And then to come up, walk the hands in, push down, and rise up to a seat. Okay, we're going to come now then onto our backs. And cross your shins, come to your buttocks, and then lay all the way down onto your back. Have your strap handy. Okay, so as you lay onto your back, let's go ahead and have the knees bent, feet on the floor. And then just feel kind of how you're doing on your back on the floor for a moment. How's the state of your spine right now? Okay, if you needed to add a blanket underneath your back, you could, just to create a little bit of padding if you're on a really hard floor. Okay, but then from here, what we'll do is keep the left foot where it is, and we'll take the right leg up into what's called half happy baby. So for this, I'm going to reach and grab the little toe side of my right foot. And my arm is grabbing from inside. I'm not trying to grab outside. My arm is kind of inside my leg, but my hand is outside my foot. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to pull. As with my hand, I pull, I keep the shin perpendicular to the floor, and I'm drawing now the right leg slightly to the right of my torso and down. It's as if I'm trying to put my right knee in my right armpit. And then as my hand pulls with my leg, I also kick. There's a little bit of resistance back. Good, and then we'll release the right foot and we'll take the left leg up into half happy baby. So taking hold of the little toe side of the foot, arm is kind of inside the leg. I take the leg slightly to the left, and it's as if, again, we're trying to bring the left knee towards the left armpit, the inner left thigh right alongside the left side of the torso as I pull. And maybe the leg can come towards the floor or even to the floor. If the right hip comes up a little bit, you can allow some of that, but then create the action of trying to reach the right hip back down. We're not overdoing anything. We're not pulling into a place that's not right for us. We're just exploring. So with your hand, you pull, with your leg, you kick, and if that means you're here, that's great. Okay, if that means you're here, that's great too. It's really like being right where you need to be in order to be in some amount of work within the posture. Breathe. Good, and then we'll release the left foot down. And now we'll take both legs and stretch them long, okay, out onto the mat. Join your inner feet if you can, your inner legs. Turn your inner thighs towards the floor a bit. So we're not letting the legs turn out. We're really rotating the femur bones in slightly so the feet point straight up. And then take your hands, adjust the flesh of your buttocks, move the flesh of the buttocks down. So there's length at the low back. Okay, and then meanwhile, try to touch the floor with your hamstrings. And that's this thighs back towards your back body. And that's going to start to create a little bit of length across the front of your pelvis, your hip flexor area. Okay, then with all of that, keep your left leg here. Take hold of your strap. Bend your right knee, and if you've got a loop, you'll lasso your foot. If you've got a strap that doesn't have a loop, then you just wrap it around the bottom edge of the foot. Okay, either way, see if you can hold the ends of the strap or the end of the strap in just your right hand, and then totally straighten your right leg. Okay, wherever your leg needs to be in space for the right leg to fully be straight, the knee is fully open, you hold there, even if that's here, okay, or here, or here. And you'll notice here I'm holding with a straight right arm as well, rather than bending my arm and holding back here. So Supta Padangustasana. Okay, reclined hand to big toe. We're using a strap to bridge the hand to the foot. Okay, now with your leg, kick with a lot of power into the strap. So even though we're on our backs, there's nothing passive about this. Kick very strongly into the strap, and with your hand, pull, but don't pull to pull your foot to your face. Pull to root your leg, your femur bone, deeper into your hip socket. Okay, meanwhile, check in with now your left leg. Did you lose the good actions of the left leg that you established? If so, reinvigorate them, internally rotate the left thigh, extend out through the inner edge of the left foot. Okay, big toe mound, inner heel, and then reach your left hamstrings for the floor, as hard as it may sound to do that. Good, and then from here, we'll keep breathing. Take the left arm out to the left. Slow and steady, with strength, open the right leg to the right. And I'm gonna bend my right elbow, and you can too, and you'll bring your right triceps to the floor, out to the right. Okay, the back of your right arm to the floor. Open your right leg almost all the way, foot almost all the way to the floor. Okay, but meanwhile, don't let the left buttock lift. Don't let the left thigh lift. All of that has to stay in place. So this is the boundary you keep, and then you explore, how wide can I open my leg? We're not intending to go to the floor, but almost to the floor. It's just the direction we're going. Then, meanwhile, from your inner right groin to your inner right knee to the inner edge of your right foot, kick away to the right. As you kick your right leg strongly to the right, turn your low belly to the left. Rotate the belly to the left. Good, and then we'll inhale and bring the right leg all the way back up. Okay, you can keep the strap around the foot, or you can set it to the side if you want to. We're gonna not use it for the next position here, crossing right ankle to top of left thigh for reclined pigeon. We did this upright seated, now we're doing it on our backs. Okay, so I have right ankle crossed on top of left thigh, feet are flexed, toes are spread. Lots of muscular energy in the legs. And then take your hands, interlace them around behind the back of your left thigh. Okay, notice the state of your chest, your shoulders. Can you draw your shoulders back as you also pull to draw your legs towards you? And if you find that your right elbow is in the neighborhood of your inner right leg, you can nudge your inner right leg away as you draw your legs towards you. Nice deep breaths. Good, and then we'll release, coming back to the very first position of legs being straight. So left leg is straight on the floor, right leg is straight up into the sky. And now lift your shoulder blades, lift your head up. And draw your forehead towards your shin and your shin towards your forehead. Again, left leg rooting. Okay, if you could reach for your foot with both hands, you're welcome to do that. With your hands, you push down, or with the strap, you pull to root. Again, the leg into the hip socket. And then with your leg, kick. Okay, see in your mind's eye, if nothing else, your forehead and your shin touching each other. Breathe. And then bring your leg with you as you lay back down onto the floor. Okay, remove the strap from your right foot, lower your right leg back down with strength. and then pause. Take a moment to notice the difference from side to side, how the right leg is more grounded, closer to the floor in a sense. The front of the right hip is softer. Good, and then we'll try the other side now. So rejoin your feet. Rotate the thighs in, press the hamstrings, the backs of the thighs down towards the floor. Okay, lengthen the low back, flesh of the buttocks down towards the heels. Open up the front of the hips, the groins even here. Okay, then keep the right leg just like this. So as we're working with the left leg, try not to disturb the right leg one bit. Can you keep your awareness in both places at the same time? Bend the left knee, lasso the left foot, and then straighten the left leg. Okay, and then remember, you hold with a straight left leg wherever needs to be held on the strap. So rather than being here, yes, the leg is closer to me, but the knee is bent. Okay, so straighten the leg completely, and then you hold the strap where is appropriate from there. Then work these actions. Kick into the strap. So nothing passive. Again, right thigh rolling in, inner right leg lengthening out, right hamstrings reaching for the floor, left leg kicks into the strap, and then with your hand pull to root your right leg down into your hip socket. It's a lot for the grip of the forearm and the hands. It's strengthening for the hand and the forearms in that way. My Iyengar teacher would say his arms always get tired faster than his legs in this. Okay, so then we'll take now the right arm out to the right, ground your right shoulder, right buttock, and right heel, and then meanwhile open your left leg out to your left. Okay, slow and steady with control. Right leg, right hip stay grounded as you open left leg to the left. And I am bending my left elbow. I am pressing down with the back of my left arm for a little bit of support there. Okay, and then again, you're keeping your right buttock grounded. Okay, kick from your inner left groin to your inner left knee to your inner left heel, out to the left. As you do that, same time, roll your low belly back to the right. Root your right thigh down. This is triangle pose. If you're familiar, triangle posture on your back. All of these same actions are in triangle posture. Okay, Trikonasana. Breathe. Okay, and then we'll inhale and bring left leg up. Okay, bend your left knee, bend your right knee. Place your left ankle on top of right thigh. Okay, from there, lift your right foot up, draw your legs towards you, interlace your hands around the back of your right leg. Okay, back of the right thigh. Be mindful of what you're doing with your shoulders here. Roll shoulders towards the floor or towards your back body. And then from here, draw legs towards the chest. And like I said on the other side, if you find your left elbow is in the neighborhood of your inner left thigh, you can nudge it away from you. Good, and then to release, we'll extend the right leg back out onto the floor and the left leg back up towards the sky. From there, then lift your shoulder blades and your head up. Okay, so you bring your forehead towards your left shin and your shin towards your forehead. Some of you may find you can hold the foot. If so, use your hands, root your leg down into your hip socket. Okay, or you pull on the strap to root, and then with your leg kick. Then Then bring your leg with you as you lay back down. Remove the strap from your foot, lower your left leg back to the floor. And just observe the state of your legs, your pelvis for a moment. Okay, and then we'll bend the knees and roll to the side to press up. Okay, from here we're going to come to pigeon pose. Okay, pigeon or really one leg pigeon prep. So for this, let's come to all fours position, facing the end of the mat. And then you're going to bring your right knee forward to the outside of your right wrist, and then move your right shin to about a 45-degree angle from there. Okay, tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee up, and scoot your left leg back. And so we're beginning to sit now, the pelvis closer to the floor. And the left hip is receiving a lot of opening now because the torso is still upright. Okay, so pause here. I want the hips to feel even from side to side. Okay, and then check back at your back leg, turn your left thigh in, and then point your left foot back evenly. So that, again, there's no sickling of the ankle. The foot is pointed straight back. Okay, breathe here. All right, and then we're going to take the right hand a little bit more to the center of the mat and come down to the palm. And then turn to your left. Tuck your left toes under, and then pull your left heel toward your left buttock. Then point your foot. Okay, take your left hand, reach back, catch the inside of your left ankle. Kick into your hand a little bit. As you kick, let the front of your chest, the front of your shoulder here on the left, receive some stretch, some opening there. And then keep some of the kicking as you bend your left elbow and draw your heel down toward your outer left buttock. Okay, meanwhile, draw your tailbone down towards the floor, lift your low belly up. So now we're deeply opening up the front of the left thigh, the quadriceps. Okay, and then we'll release the left leg back. Okay, and then place the palms. You can tuck the left toes under, scoot the left knee forward, and bring the right leg back. Then we'll take the left knee forward. Okay, align it with the outer edge of the left wrist, bring the left shin 45-degree angle from there, and then stretch the right leg back. We're not trying to sit the left buttock on the floor necessarily right now. The point is rather to get the hips even from side to side. So I could sit on my left buttock, okay, but then my hips are very skewed. And there's two joints at the back of the pelvis, the SI joints. This is kind of a very lopsided position for them. So I want to have a little bit more symmetry and evenness here. And then now the right leg is receiving, the right hip is receiving a lot of opening. Point the right foot back, breathe. Good, and then we'll add the stretch of the quadriceps. So let's take the left palm to the floor, more middle of the mat, or you could be on left fingertips if you want. Turn to your right, bend your right knee, reach back, catch inside of right ankle, and then kick into your hand. Let the right arm be pulled back, let the front of the right chest stretch. Keep some of the kicking now as you bend your right elbow and draw your heel toward your outer buttocks. Okay, and then we'll release the right foot back. Okay, placing the hands wide, tuck your right toes under, move your right knee forward, bring your left leg back, and then let's go to one downward facing dog here after all of that. And notice how different your down dog feels after all of that. Really press the tops of your thighs. So the very, very tops of your thighs, push them back. Then we'll lower the knees to the floor. Cross the shins. Come to a seat. Scoot forward and lay down onto our backs. So we'll just take a short rest here. In Shavasana, after all of that, take your arms to the sides, palms face up, close your eyes. And let your hips be really heavy. Let your chest soften and open. And rest. And begin to bring some awareness to your extremities, your hands and fingers, your feet and your toes. When you feel ready, and turn to your side. And gently press yourself up. And as you sit upright, and take a moment to check in with how this feels as compared to how it felt to first sit down not so long ago. And then also observe how the shift physically impacts you mentally and emotionally, just with this short practice. As always, thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.